Bigfoot is not just big in stature. For some, it's also big business. There's long been a thriving economy built around the legend. Of course, we're a part of that, but we try to get things right. So when we heard an account of a man who said he killed Bigfoot, we had to investigate.
From massive footprints embedded in the snow, each 18 to 19 inches long, to haunting howls that could cut the stillness and quiet of the night, the Special Ops team's dangerous Bigfoot mission in Alaska went horribly wrong. And here's everything you need to know about it. Mysterious sightings begin. The expedition to find Bigfoot isn't something new. This has been a mission for people who have loved nature for a while. But things got interesting when people started seeing this elusive creature. The strange series of encounters started back in the early 1980s, on June 10, 1982. While tracking a herd of elk, a hunter decided to leave his truck behind and follow the herd on foot, drawn by unusual movement patterns. As he made his way along a secluded logging road, a strong, unfamiliar odor filled the air, something so intense and strange it made him pause in his tracks. He pushed forward, curiosity getting the better of him until he rounded a corner and came face to face with a sight he couldn't have imagined. There, emerging from a steep 10-foot bank in a single powerful stride, was a creature of significant size and unusual appearance.
His first encounter was June 10th, 1982. He was following a herd of elk. He noticed some strange activity, so he got out of his truck to follow them on foot when he started to smell something that just wasn't normal.
This encounter would be just the beginning of an extraordinary set of sightings with this unexplainable entity. Unusual discoveries amid routine operations. Over a decade later, in early 1994, a special operations team found themselves in a similarly mysterious situation during a snowy training exercise. Known for its vast wilderness and rough terrain, this region has always held stories of legendary creatures, particularly the elusive Bigfoot. It's a region deeply steeped in tales of hidden creatures that roam the dense forests around areas like Oregon, Kentucky, and Washington. The team, primarily focused on a reconnaissance mission, was entirely unprepared for what they would encounter. Their training and experience told them to follow a strategic path. Yet, this chilling discovery was enough to make them consider an immediate return to base, though they couldn't shake their growing curiosity. Unexpected encounters in Alaska. Preparation for this mission was thorough, as the team knew the Alaskan wilderness could be unforgiving. Armed with skis for efficient movement across snowy plains, their backpacks packed with tents and survival essentials, they left Fairbanks, setting out eastward past the challenging terrain of Alaskan Air Force Base.
He started around a little corner in that logging spur road, and here come, in his own words, this critter that stepped down off this 10-foot bank with one step.
Each step brought new obstacles: steep ridges, valleys, marshy areas, and dense forests that stretched as far as they could see. In such unforgiving conditions, the special ops teams rely on specialized training and equipment. Arctic and alpine survival techniques are essential, as freezing temperatures and thick snow demand specific clothing, layered for insulation, and waterproof gear to prevent moisture buildup. Navigating in dense wilderness often requires GPS systems supplemented by traditional methods like map and compass skills, as technology may fail in extreme cold. Survivalists also create compact shelters like lean-tos or wickiups using local materials for quick insulation from the cold and wind, often incorporating fire-starting tools and tinder-like birch bark to ensure warmth in wet conditions. Water is a critical focus. While teams may carry purification kits, they often locate natural springs or snow that can be boiled to ensure safe drinking sources. For signaling or emergencies, high-frequency radios provide long-range communication, even in remote areas, making it possible to stay in touch or call for backup when standard signals falter. Additionally, training in stealth movement is crucial for avoiding wildlife encounters, as loud movements can attract predators like wolves or bears, which pose substantial risks in Alaska's wilderness. Yet, these obstacles were only a glimpse of the wider challenges posed by the Alaskan wilderness. The Alaskan wilderness is one of the harshest places on Earth, known for its relentless cold, unpredictable weather, and rugged landscapes. The temperature can drop drastically, especially in winter, challenging even the most experienced survival experts. Snow and ice cover make it easy to lose one's way, and storms can roll in with little warning, trapping anyone unprepared. For military and special operations teams, survival in this environment requires intensive planning. Each mission demands careful packing, with essentials like layered clothing for insulation, portable heating equipment, emergency rations, and sturdy shelters. Teams are trained to keep a sharp eye on weather patterns, and they carry skis, snowshoes, or other tools to move efficiently through the snow and ice. Navigating the terrain adds further difficulty. Valleys, steep cliffs, and thick forests slow progress and often force a choice between taking longer, safer routes or facing risky shortcuts. Every decision matters in the wilderness, as simple missteps can have serious consequences.
He did not know what it was. He did know immediately that it was not a bear. His first thought was every picture that he had ever seen of prehistoric man, except that it was more ape-like in the face.
In these conditions, even highly trained teams can quickly find themselves exhausted and vulnerable, making them acutely aware of the need to stay focused and alert at all times. At one point, the captain paused, assessing whether to take a rough but direct route or opt for a safer path around. The team ultimately pressed on through the snow, unknowingly heading toward a discovery that would make them question everything they thought they knew about the wilderness. Discovery of enormous footprints. Suddenly, they came upon something that made them stop in awe. Massive footprints embedded in the snow. Each print was roughly 18 to 19 inches long and spaced about 5 feet apart, stretching across the forest floor. The size and spacing of the tracks were so impressive that one soldier attempted to mimic the footprint pattern himself. However, he sank deep into the snow, making it clear that the creature responsible for these prints was far heavier and larger than any human could be. Their amazement grew, along with a mix of fear and interest. One prominent theory is that many Bigfoot sightings are actually black bears seen on their hind legs. Data analysis has shown a correlation between black bear populations and areas with high Bigfoot sightings, especially in regions like North America, where both exist in large numbers. Bears may appear more humanoid when standing, leading to mistaken identities, particularly at a distance or in dim lighting. While not all sightings align with bear habitats, this theory provides a plausible explanation for many cases, especially in forested regions where bears are abundant.
Looked at him about the same time that he looked at it, and he said that it kind of stopped and he could hear it breathing. He was close enough, and he could see the stomach muscles and its chest moving as it was breathing.
Then we've got the environmental factor theory. The dense forests and remote landscapes associated with Bigfoot sightings can distort perception, making ordinary objects or animals appear unusual. Environmental factors like shadows, fog, and even certain weather conditions can cause optical illusions, which some witnesses might interpret as a cryptid encounter. This aligns with psychological studies, suggesting that people may unconsciously alter memories to fit familiar myths, especially when they encounter ambiguous shapes or sounds in eerie settings. Not just that, some explanations focus on the psychological and cultural factors influencing Bigfoot sightings. For instance, our innate fascination with the unknown and our deep-seated mythologies around wild men can lead to heightened expectations when exploring wilderness areas. Additionally, the power of suggestion can play a role. Stories passed through generations or publicized sightings may prime individuals to interpret any odd phenomenon as evidence of Bigfoot, reinforcing the myth through collective belief. What kind of creature could have left such imposing tracks? To put this experience in perspective, similar encounters have been reported in the Pacific Northwest, where Bigfoot sightings are especially frequent. One well-documented incident includes sightings near Bluff Creek, California, where massive footprints were discovered in 1958, sparking significant public interest. Another notable case took place at Ape Canyon in Washington, where miners in 1924 reported being attacked by a large hairy creature which they believed to be Sasquatch. The Pacific Northwest is famous for its Bigfoot lore, with many researchers claiming that the region's dense forests and secluded habitats provide ideal conditions for such a creature to remain hidden from humans. Interestingly, some sightings even suggest Bigfoot may have paranormal aspects, as witnesses have reported the creature vanishing suddenly or being accompanied by strange lights, leading some to speculate about its possible interdimensional origins.
The evidence collected by Paul Freeman and his network of researchers in the Blue Mountains has been closely examined by more PhDs and anthropologists than any other data set in all Bigfoot history.
A brief glimpse of the creature. As the team's attention was focused on these footprints, one member of the group suddenly spotted movement in the distance. Just beyond the line of trees, he caught a glimpse of something enormous, its broad chest heaving as it breathed. The figure was muscular and immense, far beyond the scale of anything he had ever encountered in the wild. The encounter was only for a moment, but the sight of its strong chest muscles, visibly rising and falling, left a lasting impression. For a brief, chilling moment, it seemed as if the creature had spotted him too, adding an unnerving element to the already mysterious experience. The expert tracker's analysis. To understand the situation more deeply, the team consulted their sergeant, a skilled tracker who was the most experienced among them. He examined the footprints with a careful eye, noting every detail that could provide clues. After some analysis, he estimated the creature's height to be approximately 9 feet, with a weight ranging from 500 to 700 pounds. These dimensions ruled out any possibility of a human origin for the tracks. Eager for answers, the team made the decision to follow the trail, hoping it would lead them closer to uncovering the truth about this elusive creature and its movements through the dense, snow-laden forest. A master of stealth. The tracks formed an intricate path, weaving intelligently between trees and along ridges, hinting at a creature highly familiar with the landscape. The route took them over the tops of ridges, an unusual choice that allowed the creature to remain concealed, well hidden from prying eyes. This level of stealth suggested a deep awareness of its surroundings, as if the creature knew how to navigate the rough terrain without being detected. For the team, this discovery went beyond anything they had ever encountered in the wild. They realized they weren't merely facing an animal, they were observing a master of its environment, a being that had adapted impressively to the challenges of the isolated wilderness.
Walks across, one can't help but be struck by resemblances to the Patterson-Gimlin film. The massiveness of this figure is impressive. This smallish head set low down on the shoulders with a massive musculature.
A tactical approach in challenging terrain. The team's pursuit continued as they carefully navigated the snowy landscape, stepping strategically to leave minimal trace. With each step, they scanned the ground, looking for signs that would lead them closer to the creature they were tracking. Although the snow and rough terrain made progress slow, the team's resolve didn't waver. They remained prepared, using all of their tracking skills to interpret the subtle signs left behind. Their caution and commitment to finding answers kept them focused and ready for any unexpected encounter. As they moved deeper into the wilderness, it became clear this mission had ignited an obsession, a drive to reveal the truth about this mysterious creature. One soldier found himself compelled to prove the existence of what he had seen, setting off a personal journey that would span over a decade. Even as they advanced, each step through the dense forest underscored the team's growing fascination and determination to uncover the truth about this creature, whatever it might be. The team was well prepared to handle the unforgiving Alaskan conditions, equipped with skis and snowshoes to navigate the dense snow. They pushed forward for hours, making calculated choices about which path to take and adapting their tactics to fit the terrain. As daylight faded, they decided to set up camp and rest, ending a day of intense tracking with a hopeful anticipation for what they might find the following day.
Here's my dad standing there, and he's covered in sweat and dirt, and he's pale in color, and he's shaking. I always tell people that that's the only time in my entire life that I ever saw my dad scared of anything.
An eerie howl in the night. As the team settled down to sleep, the quiet of the night was abruptly shattered by a deep, haunting howl that cut through the stillness. Miles, the team leader, jolted awake, sensing something unusual about the sound. Unlike a typical wolf's call, this howl carried a distinct, guttural depth that suggested something far larger and more powerful than any creature they'd encountered before. Miles listened intently, alert to any signs that might confirm the presence of the unknown entity. Unsettling closeness. Minutes after the first howl, a second call echoed through the trees, even louder and seemingly closer. The eerie proximity sent chills through Miles and the team, raising their suspicions that something substantial and potentially dangerous was advancing toward them. They braced themselves, quietly hoping that this approaching creature wasn't a predator with violent intentions. Yet, the deafening silence that followed was almost as unnerving as the sounds themselves, fueling an underlying sense of paranoia among the men as they waited tensely for whatever would come next. An unsettling watch in the wilderness. As night deepened, the team could feel an unnatural tension building in the air, heightened by the sense that they were not alone. Still awake and keeping watch, Miles and a few others noticed a figure moving in the shadows just beyond their camp. The creature seemed to be pacing, moving back and forth as if deliberating, its large form barely visible, yet unmistakably present. Low, heavy rustling noises broke through the silence, enough to alarm Miles and his men, who found themselves gripping their flashlights tightly, exchanging wary glances as they tried to track the elusive movements in the darkness. The eerie sounds grew louder, prompting the rest of the team to wake, each man alert, his face reflecting a shared sense of dread. One by one, they cautiously unzipped their tents, stepping into the cold night to confront whatever was intruding upon them. The rustling then stopped abruptly, and the forest, once teeming with the familiar night sounds of crickets and distant frogs, fell into an unnatural silence. For a moment, the men simply listened, trying to discern what had brought this stillness upon the wilderness. Then, without warning, a piercing howl erupted from the woods, echoing around them with a force that seemed to shake the very trees. The howl shifted and swelled into a terrifying roar, a sound so intense, so primal that it sent chills through even the most seasoned among them. Some would later describe it as less a howl and more of a scream, something that seemed born out of both rage and anguish. The terror of being unarmed. In that bone-chilling moment, the team became acutely aware of just how vulnerable they were. They had set out with no live ammunition, their mission through these snow-laden woods planned without any expectation of encountering something so threatening. Now, with the creature so near, the lack of firearms made them consider abandoning their task altogether, their instincts urging them to retreat to safety. As they debated, another ominous sound broke the air, a tree crashing to the ground with an unsettling thud, confirming that the creature had incredible strength and was disturbingly close. The oppressive tension only grew as the men looked around, seeing massive trees beginning to sway, tilting and falling as if pushed by an unseen hand. The loud, shuddering crashes of these ancient giants, so out of place in the stillness of the night, echoed through the forest, reminding them of their fragility amid such powerful forces. Understanding that their very survival was at stake, the team quickly scrambled to pack up their gear, moving as quietly as possible under the cover of early dawn's first light. The darkness was still thick, wrapping around them like a cloak, and as they moved, the sense of being watched persisted. Just as they were about to leave, Miles caught sight of something on the ground. Massive, deep footprints imprinted in the snow and circling their camp. Clues of an unseen power. The team gathered around these footprints, staring in disbelief at the evidence of something enormous that had prowled around them in the night. The tracks led them to a broken pine tree, split cleanly in half and uprooted at a height of nearly 35 feet. The sheer size of the broken tree and the force needed to break it at that height left them in stunned silence. This wasn't the work of any animal they knew, and certainly not of a bear or any other creature native to the Alaskan wilderness. Whatever had done this was powerful, terrifyingly so, and left them feeling deeply unsettled. The footprints around the tree only deepened their sense of dread. The impressions were large, each footprint easily twice the size of a human's, and they had a strange shape that seemed almost familiar but distorted, like something halfway between human and beast. The men exchanged anxious looks, realizing that this creature was no ordinary animal and that it had been watching them, aware of them. A silent decision. As dawn crept in, washing the forest in pale, ghostly light, the team knew they had to press on with their mission. But Miles, their leader, understood that allowing fear to overtake them would only worsen their situation. He insisted on silence about the encounter, believing it necessary not only to maintain their professionalism, but also to keep their focus on the mission. Discussing their fear of this unknown creature, especially one as intimidating as this, would only amplify the risk. The men nodded in agreement, each one understanding the silent pact. Though the words remained unspoken, the reality was clear. They had encountered something beyond understanding, a being capable of uprooting a massive tree and tracking them undetected through the night. But they had a mission to complete, and they knew better than to dwell on what they had seen and heard. They had come into these woods for a reason, and while fear gnawed at them, they pushed it down, resolved to finish what they had started. A chilling return to civilization. After 2 more nights in the wilderness, marked by heightened caution and strained nerves, the team completed their mission. Yet, the experience hung over them like a shadow, leaving an unerasable mark that they carried silently. They whispered among themselves, speculating on the cryptid they believed inhabited the area, but none dared to call it by name. While they didn't explicitly say Bigfoot, the idea was there, lingering in their minds as they tried to process the unexplainable experience they had endured. Emerging from the Alaskan wilderness, they left behind not only their tracks, but also memories that felt too surreal to recount. To them, the encounter was something almost sacred, a chilling testament to the mysteries that lay hidden in the unexplored depths of the wilderness. They knew these stories would remain with them, to be spoken of only in trusted company and away from prying ears, a shared encounter with the unexplainable, best kept as a haunting reminder of the unknown. In the early months of 1994, a highly specialized team embarked on training exercises in the remote, snow-covered wilderness. Their mission was to conduct a strategic reconnaissance operation involving stealth and precision observation in the unforgiving environment. However, what started as a routine military exercise quickly turned into something much more extraordinary when they encountered an inexplicable phenomenon. As they ventured deeper into the wilderness, the team found themselves unwittingly drawn into tracking one of the most legendary cryptids of all time, Bigfoot. For decades, reports of this mysterious ape-like creature had emerged from the dense forests of the United States and Canada, with Oregon, Kentucky, and Washington being the most frequent locations for sightings. Tales of Bigfoot's existence had been shared by locals, adventurers, and cryptozoologists alike, though its elusive nature had left it shrouded in myth and mystery. The timing of this encounter was significant. This particular season was notorious for increased reports of Bigfoot sightings, with the creature rumored to appear more frequently during the colder months, when the snow blanketed the forests, perhaps giving the beast better camouflage or an advantage in remaining undetected. The conditions seemed perfect for an encounter that would otherwise be dismissed as nothing more than folklore. However, the team's primary focus remained on their mission. They were tasked with gathering critical intelligence through stealthy maneuvers, avoiding detection while mapping out the area. Their advanced training had prepared them for nearly every possible scenario, except for what they were about to experience. As they moved cautiously through the trees, something out of the ordinary caught their attention. Initially, it was subtle, a distant noise, a glimpse of movement in the periphery, but soon, the signs became impossible to ignore. Massive, human-like footprints imprinted in the snow, far larger than any animal native to the region, began to appear in the team's path. The atmosphere grew tense as the realization dawned on them that they might be encountering the very creature that had fueled decades of legend.
What's the likelihood that there are big animals that have gone undetected by scientists and by trained observers? There are lots of undiscovered things, particularly in the natural world.
Despite their rigorous training, what they found began to unsettle even the most seasoned members of the team. They could sense something watching them from the shadows, something that seemed to move with a quiet intelligence, always staying just out of sight. The forest, normally filled with the sounds of wildlife, became eerily silent. The team's unease mounted as they realized they weren't alone. Although they had no intention of abandoning their primary mission, the team's instincts urged them to retreat. They had stumbled upon something far beyond their expectations, something that challenged their understanding of the natural world. Whatever it was, the encounter had shaken them enough to prompt a hasty return to base, leaving the mystery of what they had seen, or nearly seen, lingering in their minds. It was an experience they would not easily forget, adding to the ongoing lore surrounding Bigfoot and the untamed wilderness it was rumored to roam. What was this mysterious discovery that made even seasoned fighters abandon their mission? Despite being well prepared for the task, with skis for quick movement and backpacks packed with tents and other gear, the team's encounter with something unexplainable reminded them that no amount of preparation could replace caution and experience when exploring Alaska's wild, untamed nature. Even the most equipped could find themselves facing the unknown. The team set out from Fairbanks, aiming to cross the rugged terrain eastward past Alaskan Air Force Base. They knew the journey would be tough, with steep ridges, deep valleys, marshy areas, and dense forests along the way. As they worked their way through the thick brush, Captain Miles prioritized the safety of his crew. At one point, he paused to decide whether they should push ahead through a particularly dangerous area or take the safer, longer route around it. As the team made their way slowly and carefully through the deep snow, they stumbled upon something surprising: huge footprints. Each footprint was about 18 to 19 inches long, which is much bigger than any human foot. Even more curious was the fact that there was a gap of 5 feet between each track. This strange discovery raised a lot of questions in their minds. What kind of creature could create footprints that big? The soldiers exchanged puzzled looks, each wondering about the creature that left such massive tracks. To test their theories, one of the soldiers decided to try and step in the footprints to see how it felt. However, when he did, he sank deep into the snow, unable to stay balanced. This showed everyone that whatever had made those tracks was much heavier and larger than a person. The soldiers' failed attempt confirmed their suspicions. These tracks were not made by any ordinary animal or human. This realization made the team even more curious and cautious about what might be out there in the snowy wilderness. They knew they were dealing with something unusual, and that thought filled them with both excitement and fear. For a moment, the men stood frozen in disbelief. The size of the footprints was like nothing they had ever encountered before, but instead of fear, their curiosity grew stronger. They began to wonder if they were on the verge of uncovering a remarkable part of Alaska's wildlife that had remained a mystery to everyone. Then, something even more astonishing occurred. One of the team members suddenly spotted the creature. In a quick, shocking moment, he caught a glimpse of it, huge and imposing, with a broad chest that rose and fell as it breathed. Its enormous size made it clear that this was no ordinary animal. The team member's heart raced as he tried to take in the sight before him. The creature stood tall and powerful, almost as if it were a guardian of the forest. Its thick fur blended with the surrounding snow, making it look even more mysterious. The men exchanged nervous glances, knowing they were witnessing something truly extraordinary. The excitement and fear mingled as they stood, captivated by this incredible creature that had eluded human eyes for so long. Despite all their training and experience, the team was caught off guard by the mystery of what they had found. This wasn't just a regular mission anymore. It had turned into an encounter with something unknown and possibly dangerous. This encounter added an unexpected layer of mystery to what had originally seemed like a routine training mission. What started as a simple exercise turned into something far more intriguing and strange, as the team now faced questions about the strange creature they had stumbled upon. Their mission, once straightforward, was now surrounded by the unknown. Eager for answers, the team looked to their sergeant, the most skilled tracker among them, for guidance. He crouched down and closely examined the enormous footprints, his brow furrowing in concentration. After careful thought, he estimated that the creature stood about 9 feet tall and weighed between 500 to 700 pounds. Those impressive dimensions made it clear that these tracks couldn't belong to any human. The team exchanged glances, their excitement mounting. They were determined to learn more about this mysterious giant that had left such massive footprints in the snow. After discussing their options, they decided to follow the trail. They carefully began to track the prints, each step filled with anticipation as they moved deeper into the forest. With every footprint, they felt they were getting closer to uncovering the secrets of the creature that had piqued their curiosity and sparked their imaginations. As they tracked the creature, the team began to learn how it expertly navigated the snowy forest. The footprints revealed that it had chosen a clever path, sticking to the tops of ridges and weaving through thick trees. This strategy explained how the creature had managed to remain hidden from humans for so long. The way it moved through the rough terrain showed that the creature was familiar with the area, which added to the team's growing belief that it was highly intelligent. They realized it wasn't just wandering aimlessly. It seemed to be using its surroundings to its advantage. To make matters even more intriguing, it appeared to be using similar tactics to avoid being seen by the team. It was as if the creature understood their presence and was intentionally staying out of sight. This added an extra layer of mystery to their pursuit, making the team even more eager to uncover the secrets of this elusive giant.
Tell me what you see in front of me.
Oh my God.
These are fresh from last night.
Whoa.
If you look in the water behind it, looks like an impression in the water back here.
Ooh.
This thing literally appears to have come out of the water and onto this bank.
This cleverness only fueled the team's curiosity. Determined to uncover the truth about the creature, they pressed on with their search. At one point, the creature began to walk away, but it stopped a few times to look back at them, as if acknowledging their presence before disappearing into the forest. This encounter sparked a 15-year obsession for the sergeant. From that moment, he found himself consumed by an intense desire to prove the existence of the creature he had glimpsed in the Alaskan wilderness. Every day since that fateful sighting, he dedicated himself to researching and uncovering evidence that would confirm what he had seen. He pored over books about cryptozoology, studied animal behavior, and even reached out to experts in various fields, hoping to find a clue that would validate his experience. He spent countless nights combing through the forest, setting up cameras, and collecting samples in hopes of capturing evidence of the creature's presence. The sergeant documented everything meticulously, noting each footprint and unusual occurrence in a weathered journal that became a testament to his obsession. He talked to fellow soldiers, friends, and even strangers about his experience, eager to share his story and find others who believed in the mysterious being. Despite the skepticism he often faced, he remained steadfast in his conviction. The sergeant felt a deep sense of purpose in his mission, driven by the need to show the world that these beings existed, and that he wasn't crazy for believing it. He envisioned the day when he could present undeniable proof, a moment that would silence his doubters and allow him to share the awe and wonder he had experienced. As the years passed, his passion only grew stronger, intertwining with his daily life, but he didn't care. He was determined to uncover the truth. With every step he took in the wilderness, the memory of that one extraordinary moment propelled him forward, fueling his dreams of validation and discovery. Once the team decided to continue tracking the creature, they knew it wouldn't be easy. The deep snow ahead posed a serious challenge as they made their way through the dense forest. The snow slowed their progress significantly, but thanks to their preparation, skis and snowshoes, they managed to push on. Despite the tough conditions, they tracked the creature for several hours. As daylight began to fade, the team realized they would soon run out of time to continue their search. They decided it was best to set up camp and rest for the night. After choosing a spot, they spent time cleaning their camp area, cooking, and eating before getting into their sleeping bags for the night. Even though they had had a busy and eventful day, the real excitement was yet to come. In the middle of the night, around 9 or 10 p.m., the forest seemed calm, and the team was fast asleep. Everything appeared peaceful until Captain Miles suddenly woke up at 4 a.m., startled by a strange howl or roar that shattered the stillness of the night. Though everyone should have been woken by the eerie sound, only Miles seemed alert. At first, he thought it might have been a lone wolf, as wolves were common in the Alaskan wilderness. However, this howl was different. It echoed through the forest in a way that unsettled Miles, making him question if it was really just a wolf. He remembered how they had found footprints earlier and couldn't shake the feeling that the creature might still be nearby. It wasn't unusual for him to believe the sounds were from a wolf, but with the evidence they had gathered during the day, the possibility that it was something far stranger lingered in his mind. There was something strange about this sound. For starters, wolves don't usually howl just once, and when they move in packs, they make multiple calls. But this sound was different, much deeper and more guttural than any wolf's howl. Miles couldn't shake the feeling that it came from something far larger. With his senses heightened, he kept listening, trying to learn more about the eerie cry echoing in the night. The howling eventually stopped, but the quiet didn't last long. About 15 minutes later, another howl broke through the night, this time even scarier. It sounded much closer to Miles and his team. At first, it was faint, almost easy to dismiss, but it grew louder, filling Miles with fear. He started to wonder if a large, dangerous creature was making its way toward them through the forest. As a calm leader, he knew he had to keep his cool, but deep down, he hoped it was just a harmless wolf. It couldn't be a bear, though. The bears should be hibernating in the snowy weather. But the thought of accidentally disturbing a hibernating bear crossed his mind, and that would be far worse than anything they had prepared for. As Miles considered all the possibilities, his anxiety grew. Then, suddenly, the noise stopped, only about 100 feet away from their camp. Instead of relief, the silence filled him with dread. Paranoia began to creep in as he struggled to figure out what was happening. Thankfully, some of the other team members were starting to wake up, joining him in trying to make sense of what could be lurking in the darkness. The tension among the group continued to rise as they all wondered what was out there. The eerie howling finally stopped, but even the gentle wind that had been blowing through the night came to an abrupt halt. The silence was so intense that you could hear a pin drop, creating a tense atmosphere that hung over the camp. In this uneasy quiet, Miles knew they had to stay alert. He was sure the creature hadn't left. It had just paused. It felt like it was still there, lurking in the shadows and pacing somewhere nearby. The only thing Miles didn't know was what it was. He sensed it was waiting, watching them from the dark. It reminded him of a similar experience years ago when he had gone out to search for tracks and unexpectedly came upon fresh footprints by the water. He had thought he was alone, but realized later that the creature had been watching him, waiting for him to leave. Now, it seemed like the creature was once again deciding the fate of the men it was stalking. As it moved back and forth in the shadows, making rustling noises, the tension among the team grew. The few who had stayed awake were on edge, and that tension was enough to wake the rest of the team from their sleep. Soon, all the men were out of their tents, trying to figure out what had been causing the strange noises in the dead of night. They noticed the rustling sounds had suddenly stopped, leaving the forest in an unsettling silence. The squirrels and frogs had gone quiet too, which only added to the growing sense of dread. This eerie calm, more disturbing than the noise itself, was shattered when a chilling howl tore through the night. It quickly escalated into a horrifying roar, so terrifying that later, some of the men would claim it sounded more like a scream than an animal's call. Miles, the team leader, understood all too well how important it was to keep their experience to themselves. He knew the potential consequences if their frightening encounter were to leak out. Recognizing the seriousness of their situation, Miles insisted on silence. He believed that staying quiet was crucial, not just for maintaining professionalism, but also for keeping his team focused on their mission. For him, dwelling on the terrifying unknown could jeopardize their goal and put them in even more danger. The men silently agreed, understanding that the forces of nature in this unforgiving wilderness were far beyond their control. 2 nights later, as they prepared to wrap up their mission, the team chose once more to keep their unsettling experience a secret. They huddled together, their voices low, sharing their thoughts and speculations about the mysterious creature rumored to inhabit the area. However, they intentionally avoided mentioning the name Bigfoot, knowing that doing so might add an extra layer of unease to their already fraught situation.
Hearing the whistling again. That just gave me the chills.
I'm looking for any shape, any animal, eye shine, anything.
They wanted to focus on celebrating their successful mission, even if it was overshadowed by the lingering fear from their encounter. The atmosphere was thick with an unspoken tension, a shared acknowledgement of what they had witnessed, but also a desire to move past it. As they gathered around the campfire, roasting food and recounting lighter stories from their time together, the shadow of the unknown hovered at the edges of their camaraderie. They knew that talking about the creature could bring back the feelings of dread that had gripped them during those tense nights in the forest. Instead, they chose to focus on their accomplishments, the bonds they had forged, and the challenges they had overcome as a team. In this way, the Special Ops team emerged from the depths of the Alaskan wilderness, navigating both the challenges of their task and the unnerving presence that had haunted their every step. What had started as a standard operation had transformed into an encounter with the legendary, leaving them with stories best kept within the confines of their own minds. Their experience stood as a testament to the mysteries hidden in the wild. If you were part of the Special Ops team, would you vote to stay on the mission, or would you agree to end it? Share your thoughts in the comments section below. Thank you for watching. See you in the next one.